Well, what do we have here? Ladies and gentlemen, NBC News, Stormy D must pay $300,000 to Donald Trump after losing defamation case. CNBC, Stormy Daniels loses appeal in Trump case, vows I will go to jail before I pay a penny of the $300,000. That, unfortunately, might be the case. This is CNBC. Stormy D must pay ex-President Donald Trump nearly $300,000 in attorney's fees. A federal appeals court said in a ruling upholding a judge's order in her failed defamation lawsuit. The ruling likely ends a year-long legal feud between Daniels and Trump related to her claim they had romantic relations in 2006. The amount Daniel owes Trump in the case is about the same as the amount she was swindled by Michael Avenatti, who's in prison right now. Her former lawyer. I will go to jail before I pay a penny. By the way, this is absolutely hilarious, but it's not as it's almost as amusing. Actually, it's perhaps even more amusing, but just as delightful as an Atlantic article talking about Trump never being indicted and Trump, how these charges or indictments will never take place. I talk about that in the segment prior to this one. But this is a brilliantly written article in The Atlantic. Stop waiting for Trump to get convicted. And it starts off, this relates directly to Stormy D paying $300,000 to a billionaire. So I'll get to my take on what happened between Trump and Stormy in a moment. But The Atlantic, I talked about this for 20 minutes today on the segment prior to this one. So please watch that. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. This has to be the most amusing two stories out there that not many, everyone's talking about Stormy and Trump now, but this is The Atlantic. Attorney General Merrick Garland is not going to save democracy. I love democracy equals Trump getting indicted, but definitely not Clinton getting indicted. And I want a Clinton-Trump rematch. I pray every day that there's Madam Secretary versus Trump. It will be the best thing for this country. We've been through too much. They set up and framed Trump with an absurd hoax and myth that they literally purchased, that he was installed by another country. So democracy entails that you don't go after your direct political rival after he defeats you in November. But see, again, they have a very interesting view of democracy, Democrats. Attorney General Merrick Garland is not going to save democracy. Democracy still existed even though Madam Secretary had top secret intelligence on servers running outside of the United States government. And we have no clue how that top secret intelligence was transferred or migrated onto those servers from secure locations within U.S. networks. But here, anyway, I want a rematch. Please, God, please. Clinton-Trump 2024. We deserve it. Attorney General Merrick Garland is not going to save democracy, nor is the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, nor the Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, as the apparent collapse of the New York District Attorney's investigation makes clear. Criminal cases are hard to make. No, they're not hard to make. They're made all the time. They were made against a bunch of people associated with Trump simply because they were associated with Trump. They can't make a criminal case because he hasn't committed a crime. Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of New York, Manhattan District Attorney, Fulton County, nothing. They're a January panel. They can't pin anything on Trump because their allegations are baseless. In a similar manner, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below in the pinned comment. Read my article on the upcoming stock market crash or the economic devastation we're seeing from terrible, terrible policies by Democrats. But here, Stormy Daniels loses appeal in Trump case, vows I will go to jail before I pay a penny. The reason I read the Atlantic article is because the 5 to 6 year public relations monstrosity, the never-ending quest, the white whale of Democratic politics, the orange whale, I should say, Trump, they can't get him on anything because he hasn't committed a crime. On the other hand, you have mashed potato brains, President exhumed body, his son, those emails, Clinton servers, a whole bunch of things associated with Democrats we can get into, but we won't. So the epicenter of corruption is the Democratic Party in today's world. 20 years ago, it was the Republican Party with Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. The interesting thing, though, is that they can't get Trump on anything, and everyone who tries to get Trump or who tried to set him up, payback is a you-know-what. Now it's the big payback like James Brown. They're going after... Everybody who went after Trump is now paying the consequences, whether it's Michael Sussman or Stormy Daniels, or the three people indicted, in the Durham probe, Stormy Daniels, Michael Avenatti. You can look at a list of people. Jussie Smollett, his life is altered forever. Look at the list of people who went after Trump. They can't find anything. And it's just so hilarious now. So Stormy D is on the hook to pay former President Donald Trump nearly $300,000 in attorney's fees after a federal appeals court rejected her bid to overturn a lower court decision in her failed defamation lawsuit against him. Friday's ruling, which Trump bragged about in a statement issued Monday night, likely puts to bed a years-long feud between Daniels and ex-president related to her claim they had relations. Okay, so this is what took place with Stormy and Trump. Unlike Bill Clinton, who in the Oval Office while he was president engaged in whatever he engaged in. Oh my goodness, I was wrongfully accused also. This was a business transaction, okay? You can compare, you have all these people, they really try to get Trump, they really go overboard. Oh, he's such a bad person. It's like, well, look at all the people look at all the Democrats. You can look at all the Democrats who have been indicted or charged. The Arizona state senator, a whole bunch of people who work at certain cable stations. Michael Avenatti is now in prison. McCabe was fired from the FBI. Strzok and Page were kicked off the Mueller probe. Then one was fired from the FBI. You could look at all of these people. Danchenko, the subsource. Kevin Kleinsmith, the FBI official indicted. You can look at all of these people. They went after Trump because they said, hey, look, we're going to set up and frame an incoming candidate. We're going to go after an incoming candidate. You can look at Michael Cohen. You could look at all of these people who devoted their lives to taking down Trump or to selling their soul, their spirit, to this public relations monstrosity. These maniacs that just wanted to harm and undermine Trump using whatever means necessary. He had a business transaction, so to speak. Okay. Was it moral? That's, I'm not going to talk about that now. But he had a business transaction. She actually signed a type of contract. Money was exchanged. And then Trump ran for president. They tried to say it was a campaign finance violation. It wasn't. Because if he was just hiding it from his family, that alone circumvents any campaign finance laws. Meanwhile, AOC and others have major conflicts of interest in terms of campaign finance. But again, Justice has one eye open, staring directly at Trump. Supposed to be blindfolded, with the scale is tilted towards the orange man, and Justice is looking. Lady Justice is looking at Trump. I'll get you one way or another. What happened? The media champions and elevates anyone who will go after Trump, even if their allegations are baseless, even if their claims are absurd, even if they have, financial motivations, financial incentives, whatever. media will always protect Democrats and always go after Trump. That's what media is all about. That's our democracy. The Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, The Atlantic, Vanity Fair, Esquire, Rolling Stone, Mother Jones, The Nation. You'll have, I got to give it up to CNBC. You have some CNBC, you know what? Bloomberg is still good. Axios is okay sometimes, most of the time. You still have, the New York Post is fantastic. Wall Street Journal is good. The Federalist is fantastic. Read my writing on The Federalist. Type in H.A. Goodman, The Federalist. But generally, most of media will try to say that Trump needs to be stopped and he's a menace to democracy. This leads people like Stormy and Avenatti and others to perhaps do things they wouldn't have done, Juicy Smollett being one of them. Perhaps do things they wouldn't have done. And now she has to pay a billionaire $300,000, and if she doesn't pay him, she might have to go to jail. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, she should never have put herself in that position. Literally, and also within the framework of going after Trump. It didn't work out. When you go after Trump, you get indicted by the Durham probe, or you think you can extort Nike, like Avenatti, and then go to prison, or think you can fabricate a crime like Juicy Smollett, or you think you can do a whole bunch of things like certain comedians and all. It never works out. If your motivation is simply malice, it doesn't work. That's like in my life, thank God. And to a certain degree, I've been protected because there have been people who've tried to just, in terms of malice, go after me, and it hasn't worked out for them. And what happens if you go after people in terms of malice and you're motivated by negativity, oftentimes, maybe not always, but oftentimes, you're going to end up in a very bad position or situation. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Stormy owes a billionaire $300,000. Hit subscribe. I'll be back in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Check this channel in 2 hours. Thank you.